The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV presents Halloween Spooktacular 2022. Now here is our host Ghost to guide you through this year's Halloween Spooktacular.
Good evening, all you goblins and ghouls. Here at the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV, we have our own version of a Halloween treat for you. We have some Halloween tales from the golden days of radio. This would be an excellent time to turn down the lights and view or listen by the glow of the jack-o'-lantern. Keep in mind that these programs are from the 1930s through the 1950s, a different time in America. So, enjoy these programs in the context of the times in which they were created. In your trick-or-treat bag, you'll find an episode of Father Knows Best called Halloween Blues. Then we'll bring you more antics from Fibber McGee and Molly as they go to Throckmorton Gildersleeve's Halloween party. Following that, we will join suspense for a ghost hunt, and we'll wrap up our Halloween Spooktacular with the Mercury Theater on the Air's production of Dracula. So now, turn out the lights as we visit with the Andersons on Father Knows Best as they cope with the Halloween Blues from October 29th, 1953.
Mother, are Post 40% bran flakes really the best tasting cereal of them all?
Well, your father says so, and Father knows best.
Father Knows Best, transcribed in Hollywood, starring Robert Young as Father. A half-hour visit with your neighbors, the Andersons. Brought to you by Instant Sanka, the delicious coffee that lets you sleep, and Post 40% Bran Flakes. Mother, next time you're choosing a cereal, remember, new Post 40% Bran Flakes give your family all the important keep regular benefits of bran in a cereal with a delicious new magic oven flavor. Insist on Post Bran Flakes, the cereal preferred and eaten by far more people than any other bran flakes. This weekend, get Post 40% Bran Flakes in the new family-size 15-ounce package. They're good, and so good for you. When brown October rolls around, the air is crisp and clear, and hearts of men are happy in the twilight of the year. In Springfield, in the White Frame House on Maple Street, the Andersons are at breakfast. It's a beautiful day, bright and brisk, and, well, it starts out as a beautiful day anyway, like this.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Daddy.
What a day. What a beautiful, wonderful day.
Mother. Just a moment, Betty. Here's your cereal, dear.
Thank you. Margaret, look at that sun. Look at that sky. Smell those golden leaves burning in the sunlight. Have you ever in your whole life seen a more beautiful day?
No, dear. Drink your milk, Kathy.
Take a breath of that air. Clear, cold, clean as a whistle. They can talk all they like about spring. This is the time of year that puts zip into a man. Pass the cream and sugar, Betty, please.
But if you don't hurry, you're going to be late.
Okay, Mom.
I tell you, it's weather like this that made America the greatest country in the world, that keeps America on its toes. It's weather like this that stirs up your blood, makes you want to get out and do things, climb a few mountains, jump over a few trees. Makes you glad just to be alive.
Mother, now?
All right, dear. Go ahead.
Father, I need $5.
Margaret, why is it that every time I come to the breakfast table, somebody suddenly discovers that he's short $5? Doesn't anybody in this family ever have enough money?
But, Father...
Betty, let your father finish. Go ahead, dear.
When I was a boy, I had to stick to my allowance. If I needed an extra quarter, I had to go out and work for it. I couldn't just wait until my father was in a good mood and then announce that I needed $5. Money didn't grow on trees when I was a boy, and it doesn't grow on trees now. I give each of you an allowance, a very generous allowance, I might say.
Ha! Kathy, be quiet.
And unless there's an emergency of an unusual and unforeseen nature, I expect every member of this family to get along on the funds allotted to him. Now, is that understood? All right.
Mother?
All right, dear.
Father, I simply have to have $5.
Betty, I just finished telling you. Why do you need $5?
For a wig.
A wig? What's the matter, getting a little thin on top?
Father.
It's for her costume, Jim. She's going as Marie Antoinette.
She's going where as Marie Antoinette?
To Janie Liggett's. Janie's having a costume party tonight.
Doesn't Janie Liggett ever do anything but give parties? What's the matter with that girl?
Dear, it's Halloween, and she just
Janie
thought...
Liggett can find more excuses for a party than Elsa Maxwell's press agent. And why this sudden affection for Marie Antoinette? Why doesn't she go as Daniel Boone? I've got an old coonskin hat she can have for nothing.
I'm going to be a devil.
Now, that's more like it, you see. Kathy won't even need a costume.
Mommy.
Kathy, darling, your father was only joking.
He hurt my feelings.
Say, Dad.
Since when is Janie Liggett inviting Kathy to her parties? That's something new, isn't it?
Dad.
Kathy isn't going to Janie's party, Father. It's a costume ball for grown-ups, not infants.
Mommy.
Oh, Betty, I wish you wouldn't say things like that. All right, Kathy, stop making faces and drink your milk.
Well, she hurt my feelings, too.
Say, Dad.
Kathy just said she was going to be a devil. Is somebody else giving a party?
No, dear. Kathy and her little friends are going to play trick-or-treat.
We're going to ring doorbells and get candy.
I don't think that's a good idea at all. Bunch of hoodlums going around threatening people into giving them ammunition for a stomachache. Kathy, you're not going to ring any doorbells, and that's final.
Gee whiz.
Say, Dad.
Bud, will you please stop interrupting? Talk, and you never say anything.
Gosh, nobody gives me a chance.
All right, what is it?
Well, I have to leave for school right away, and I'm going out with the fellas tonight, so could I please have $1?
No. Now stop interrupting and let me finish what I was saying.
But, Dad...
For the last time, Bud, no. You get your allowance on Saturday, and it's got to take care of you for the week. You've got to learn to make your money last.
But, Dad...
Jim, this is Saturday.
That makes absolutely no difference. If Bud thinks... Oh. That is, isn't it?
Gosh, Dad, all I want is my allowance.
Well, why didn't you say so? Here, don't spend it all in one place.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Bud, are you going to a party tonight?
No, not exactly. Joe Phillips bought a Zoom buggy, and we all thought we'd just sort of cruise around for a while.
Well, I've got a better idea. We'll celebrate Halloween in a safe and sane manner by going to the movies.
Aw, gee.
Gee whiz, Dad.
Jim, I don't want to make an issue
Margaret,
of it, but...
I will not have the children running around the streets after dark. You know I don't approve of it.
I know, dear. But last night the paper said there was an epidemic of measles in Springfield, and I just wondered
All right,
if...
then we'll stay home. I have no objections.
Holy cow. Everybody else can go out on Halloween.
I hope I get the measles. That's what I hope. I hope everybody gets the measles.
Oh, Kathy, you don't mean that. Your father is only doing what he feels is best.
You don't have to apologize for me, Margaret. I'm not going to have my children acting like a bunch of juvenile delinquents.
Father, you still haven't told me. May I have $5?
When I was a boy, we had fun on Halloween. We weren't a menace to the community. We did all sorts of things like...
Taking the gates off fences.
Taking the gates off fences.
Letting the air out of people's tires.
Letting the air out of people... We did no such thing.
Well, you were certainly blamed for it.
I was framed, and you know it. I wasn't anywhere near the... I was, Well, Halloween was a festive occasion for the entire family. We spent the evening together, bobbing for apples, drinking apple cider, biting an apple on a string.
You're sure lucky somebody invented apples.
Very funny. Big joke.
Father, if you'd only tell
Betty,
me...
the phone's ringing.
Oh, all right. Mother, tell him how important it is.
Jim, Betty really has her heart set on it.
I'll
and
let her have the money. You know that. Why does she have to figure out such elaborate costumes? $5 for a wig. Say, Margaret, I haven't had any breakfast yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. How would you like some nice poached eggs this morning?
Oh, I don't care. Anything at all.
It won't take a minute.
Now, look, Bud and Kathy. There's no need to act as though the world had caved in. We'll have a lot of fun all by ourselves.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, we used to have fun together all the time. Don't you remember? We'll play games, listen to the radio.
Some fun.
Well, of course, if you'd rather go to bed right after dinner. Who was it, Betty?
Janie Liggett. And I don't need the $5.
What is it, dear? Is anything wrong?
Oh, no, everything's fine. Janie's sister has the measles, and the whole thing is called off.
Oh, that's too bad, Betty. But I'm sure someone else will have a party that you can go to.
Oh, that Janie's sister. With 365 days to get the measles, she has to pick Halloween.
Margaret, how would you like to give a Halloween party?
Oh, Jim, there isn't time. Well, Halloween is tonight.
Oh, I don't mean a big party. I mean just a small, old-fashioned Halloween party, the kind we used to have years ago.
Oh, I don't know, dear. We haven't made any preparations. There isn't a thing in the house.
Well, you've got all day, and anyway, what do you need? A couple of dozen donuts, a gallon of apple cider, and you're all set. What do you say, Betty?
Oh, I suppose so.
That's what I like, spirit, enthusiasm. How about you, Kathy?
You mean just us?
Well, no. Suppose we invite some friends. Each of you may have 2 guests.
Hey, that'll be all right. How about that, Betty?
I worked for 3 weeks on that costume, and now I'll wind up in my own cellar.
It's not a cellar, Betty. It's a playroom.
Well, it's a cellar to me.
Yes, sir, we'll have lots of fun. Good old-fashioned fun and good old-fashioned refreshments. Donuts and cider, popcorn and candy, apples and nuts, chestnuts, walnuts, peanuts. How about it, Betty?
Can I invite Ralph? And Billy Smith?
Sure, invite anybody you want. How about asking Janie Liggett?
She can't go anywhere. The whole house is quarantined.
Quarantine for the measles?
I told you last night, Jim, the epidemic is really becoming serious.
Oh, well, we won't worry about it now. Let's finish our breakfast. And tonight, say, we could even have a square dance.
Father, could we really?
Well, I should say. Didn't you know I was the best square dance caller in Springfield? Oh, swing that gal from Arkansas. She ain't been swung since way last fall. Then cross the hall and swing Grandma. Oh, turn around and swing Sally Gooden. Margaret!
I'm in the dining room, Jim.
Margaret, I met Hector Smith on the way home, and Holy jumping Jehoshaphat. What's that?
What's what, dear?
All that stuff on the table. What did they do, move the market up here?
Jim, after all, if you're going to have people in for a party.
Well, that's a relief. I thought maybe you'd ask them to stay for the winter. 6, 8. Holy smoke, 10 dozen donuts?
12, dear. The children took 2 boxes downstairs.
Margaret, why? 144 donuts?
Well, Jim, you have to feed 22 growing children.
22? I told them to invite 6. How did it become 22?
Oh, like Topsy, I guess. It just grew.
6 gallons of cider, 5 pounds of popping corn, 12 quarts of milk, 4 cases of soda pop, 6... Margaret, where are they?
The children? Oh, they're down in the playroom, fixing the decorations.
Decorations? What decorations? I asked them to get 6 kids to duck for apples. Who said anything about decorations?
Well, the playroom did look a little bare, and they just thought
it was supposed to be a simple little party, just a few kids. That's what I told Hector. And now look.
Jim, you didn't invite the Smiths.
Well, sure, but I didn't know it was going to be anything like this. And Hector just had his teeth pulled, and he looked kind of lonesome.
Jim, you know that Elizabeth doesn't fit into a thing like this. She'll spend half the night bragging about her Mayflower Stuyvesant ancestors. She'll make us feel as if she's slumming.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be anything like this. I told them they could ask 2 guests apiece. That's all I said.
Well, Betty couldn't ask Marion Swift without asking Grace Russell, and they both had dates.
Margaret, I want you to be perfectly honest and truthful. If we had spent a quiet evening at the movies, wouldn't it have been worth a simple case of measles?
Hi there. This is Jerry Marshall. Say, wouldn't a steaming cup of coffee hit the spot right about now? You bet it would. And you know you can have that cup of coffee. Yes, even if coffee usually keeps you awake, you can have your coffee and still sleep tonight if you make it a cup of instant Sanka coffee. You see, it's not the coffee itself that keeps you awake. It's the caffeine in coffee. But 97% of the caffeine has been taken out of instant Sanka. So you can enjoy a cup now or an hour from now and not lose 1 wink of restful sleep. And instant Sanka is all pure coffee, you know. 100% pure coffee with a wonderfully rich and satisfying flavor. So if you don't have instant Sanka coffee on hand, add it to tomorrow's shopping list. Get the large economy-size jar and save money. You'll like instant Sanka's flavor, and you'll love the way it lets you sleep.
It's a gay evening in the white frame house on Maple Street. In the basement playroom, the children are raising a veritable tidal wave as they duck for apples. The teenagers are dancing to their young hearts' content. And upstairs in the kitchen, the adults, well, they're not doing so well.
Elizabeth, I give you my word of honor. I didn't mean to do it.
Hector Smith, don't you dare to speak to me again. Not as long as you live.
Jim.
Oh, come on, Elizabeth. It isn't that bad.
I've never been so mortified in my entire life. Not in my entire life.
Elizabeth, this is cold. Let me put it on. It'll make you feel so much better.
Oh.
You got a piece of beefsteak, Margaret? That's good for a black eye, too.
Oh. How will I face my friends? What can I tell them?
Why don't you just tell them the truth? You were biting an apple on a string, and you zigged when you should have zagged.
Really, Jim, the humor of the situation escapes me completely.
Sure, you can't see your shiner. Oh, Elizabeth, it's a pip.
To think that I, a Stuyvesant on my mother's side, should come to this.
Elizabeth, if you'll just let me...
You keep away from me, you monster.
But I thought you wanted me to let go of the apple.
You planned the whole thing, Hector Smith. You planned the whole fiendish thing.
Mother! Elizabeth, please put this against your eye. It'll help, really. Yes, Betty?
There isn't any more cider.
Well, send Bud up. We have another gallon up here.
Okay.
I told Hector in the first place I didn't want to come. A children's party, imagine. Me, Elizabeth Smith, at a children's party.
Well, you were having a pretty good time before it happened, Liz.
Jim, will you please not call me Liz? You know how I loathe that name.
Jim.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Where's the cider, Mom? Betty said you had some more.
It's right here next to the table, dear.
Okay. How's your eye, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, it's not well, Bud. It's not well at all.
Why, that sure was funny. You should have seen the look on your face.
Bud.
All right, Bud. Take the cider and beat it.
Some party, huh, Dad? Yeah, boy, what a brawl.
Leave it to my son. He always manages to say just the right thing at just the wrong time.
Mommy!
Just a minute, Kathy. Dear, see what Kathy wants, will you please?
Oh, probably another donut if I know Kathy. Don't go away, Heck. I'll be right back.
Okay, Jim. Elizabeth, maybe if I went out and bought a piece of steak or something.
Don't you come near me. Don't you even touch me.
What's the matter, Kathy? Did they run out of donuts downstairs?
Daddy, is it all right if I go to bed? I'm awful tired.
Well, I guess so, dear. Aren't you having a good time?
I don't know. I feel sleepy, and I hurt all over.
Well, Kathy, why don't you... Margaret!
Yes, Jim?
Could I see you for a minute, please? Why don't you lie down on the couch, Kathy? Mommy will be here in just a second.
All right, Daddy.
Jim, you know how upset Elizabeth is. Did you have to... Why, Kathy, what is it?
I'm sleepy, Mommy. I want to go to bed.
She said she didn't feel well. She hurts all over.
Jim, call Dr. Simmons.
Oh, Margaret, there's no reason to get all excited.
Jim, will you please call Dr. Simmons?
All right, all right.
You're going to be all right, darling. Mommy and Daddy won't let anything happen to their little girl. Jim, please hurry.
Well, I have to find his number, don't I? Oh, here it is. 3890. 3890. HU 3890.
Tell him she has a slight fever.
All right. She has? Oh, hello, Dr. Simmons. This is Jim Anderson. Oh, fine, thank you. Doctor, it's... yes, she's fine, too, thank you. Doctor, well, they're fine. Except Kathy. She doesn't feel very well. Yeah, she says she's very tired. Uh-huh.
Jim, tell him about the fever.
Margaret says she has a fever. Oh, it does? I see. Not for an hour, huh? You couldn't possibly make it any sooner than that. All right, Doctor. We'll put her to bed right away. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. In the meantime, I'll send all the kids home. Your what? Your what? Oh, no, Doctor. Dr. Simmons, you can't do a thing like that. It isn't human. Dr. Simmons. Dr. Simmons. Dr. Simmons.
Jim, is it measles?
That's what he thinks. And Margaret, we'll all be quarantined for a week.
Now, Margaret, you just leave everything the way it is and go up to Kathy. Go on now. Shoo.
Elizabeth,
I said shoo. I've got 2 perfectly healthy men here to help me, and we've got a lot of things to figure out.
Go ahead, dear. Kathy will feel better if you're with her.
But, Jim, there are so many things to do, and all these children...
Oh, we'll figure it out, honey. You go on up to Kathy.
Margaret, you know you're not doing anybody any good down here.
No, I guess I'm not. I'll go upstairs, but please call me if you need any help.
All right, dear. We will.
Now.
Jim, I didn't want to say anything while Margaret was here, but what are we going to do with those kids?
I know what I'd like to do with them.
Yeah. You know, sometimes they got laws against the most sensible things.
If you 2 great brains are through with your little jokes, we'll get down to work.
Elizabeth, you know, this is the first time I've ever seen you this way. I mean, with your sleeves rolled up and your hair let down. It looks good.
Oh, thanks.
She'd look even better without that shiner.
You and I will go into that later, dear. Meantime, let's see now. 22 children and 4 adults. That means sleeping space for 26. How many beds do you have?
5, without Kathy's.
Be a little crowded, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's always a couch.
Well, we have 4 beds, including the one in the guest room, so that makes 9.
Wait a minute. You're not going to all the trouble of bringing 4 beds over here, are you?
Well, gosh, Jim, they certainly won't do anybody any good in our house.
We can't expect those children to sleep on the floor. Not for an entire week. It'd be criminal.
But all that trouble and inconvenience?
Jim, they have a wonderful new invention called the telephone. Hector is going to use it in the morning and call the moving company. Right, Hector?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Tell them where to pick up a key and have them bring all the beds over here.
Right.
Then tell them to empty the linen closet. We're going to need every bit of linen in the house before we're finished.
Right.
Sheets and pillowcases and towels and everything. Do you have that?
Right.
That's the doorbell.
Right. Go ahead, Jim. It's probably the doctor.
Oh, yeah. Look, Heck, don't do anything until I get back.
Don't worry about us, Jim. We got everything under control.
I don't know. You learn the strangest things about the strangest people at the strangest times. Oh, hello, Dr. Simmons.
Oh, Jim, Kathy upstairs?
Yes, Doctor, I'm sure it's nothing serious, but if you think there's anything...
You stay here.
But, Doctor, don't you think I'll...
Enough trouble with mothers. Can't stand fathers.
Well, the least he could do is let me... After all, she is my daughter, and I've got as much right to be there as...
What did Doc say, Jim? Anything more than measles?
He wouldn't even let me go upstairs. Fine doctor he turned out to be.
Jim, I think we've got everything arranged. We'll have to sleep in shifts, but at least everyone will get a good 8 hours rest in a comfortable bed.
No, that's fine, Elizabeth, fine.
We're going to put all of our beds and linen in the playroom so we don't get things mixed up. And then we'll make that the boys' dormitory.
Elizabeth, this is no time to bother Jim with anything like that.
Hector, the less Jim thinks about Kathy, the better it'll be. Now sit down, Jim, and drink this while it's hot.
Oh, thank you very much, Elizabeth. I don't know how to thank you and Hector enough.
Oh, poppycock. What are friends for if they can't help out once in a while? Now, are you going to sit down, or do I have to knock you down?
You, better sit down, Jim. She can get pretty rough.
Yeah, I'm sure she can, Heck.
The kitchen. That's where they generally administer to the needs of the suffering father.
Doctor, is she all right?
Hello, Hector. Mrs. Smith. Well, what happened to you?
I ran into an apple. Doctor, is Kathy all right?
Of course she's all right. I just wish they'd invent a gadget to let parents know the difference between measles and a good old-fashioned bellyache.
What?
She didn't need a doctor. She needed a stomach pump. How about a glass of cider?
Well, really?
Wait a minute. You mean she just had an upset stomach?
Jim, that stomach was so stuffed nothing could upset it.
But she had a fever. Margaret said so.
You'd have a fever, too, if you'd eaten 3 boxes of donuts.
Probably ate the boxes, too.
Dr. Simmons, you mean that this whole business of quarantine was unnecessary?
That's right, unless you consider a human tapeworm contagious.
Well, I'd better send all those kids home.
Jim Anderson, I certainly hope that you'll provide the proper degree of punishment for that child of yours.
Elizabeth.
Just a minute, Elizabeth. Kathy didn't do this intentionally. She's only 9 years old, and she ate too much. Now, what's so horrible about that?
Now that I think of it, it was she who suggested that I bite into that apple.
Elizabeth, she just wanted you to have a good time.
Well, I had a good time, but this wasn't it. Hector, are you going to take me home, or do I have to drag you?
Oh, all right, dear, all right. Good night, Jim. I'm sorry it wasn't the measles.
Thanks, Heck, and thanks for everything.
Say goodbye to Margaret for us.
Okay, good night, Heck.
Good night, Doc.
Good night, Hector. You know, Jim, there's just one very good reason why I never got married. Women.
Oh, it isn't that bad, Doc.
No, but I'm too old to fence with them. They change too fast. I like something you can count on. Like a good, faithful dog.
Well, you can count on Kathy. It's always the wrong way, but you can sure count on it.
We'll be back with the Andersons in a moment.
Mothers, you've probably heard bran is good for you because it gives your family important keep regular benefits. Perhaps you've even served it, but your family didn't rave about the flavor. Well, now, Post 40% Bran Flakes brings you a marvelous new flavor called Magic Oven Flavor, plus a new crisper texture. That's why Post 40% Bran Flakes are not only good for you, they also taste downright delicious. Now you can give your family the vital, keep regular benefits of bran in a cereal they're bound to enjoy. Next time you shop, remember.
For goodness sake, eat Post Bran Flakes. So good and so good for you.
Try the new 15-ounce family-size package. You'll see why Post 40% Bran Flakes are bought and enjoyed by far more people than any other Bran Flakes. They're really good, and so good for you.
Once again, the Andersons are at breakfast, and once again, the day is bright and clear. This time, however, there's an air of grim foreboding in the breakfast nook, a suspicion of dark, dire things to come.
Children, when your father comes to the table, please try not to upset him.
Well, gosh, we didn't do anything.
I know, dear. I mean, I know you think you didn't do anything, but please be careful anyway.
Creepers, it was certainly a long party, wasn't it, Mother?
Yes, dear. Kathy, sit up straight. Your father's coming now.
Oh, I'm scared.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Father.
What a day. What a beautiful, wonderful day. How are you this morning, Kathy? Feeling better?
Yes, Daddy. I feel fine.
Jim, do you feel all right?
Never felt better in my life. Oh, say, here's something I want to show you. Found it in the paper this morning. Most wonderful bit of philosophy I've ever heard. It's called Formula for Contentment, and it's very simple. All it says is this. Just think how happy you'd be if you lost everything you have right now and then got it back again. Isn't that a wonderful thought? Peaceful home, 3 wonderful children, a lovely wife. You know, Margaret, I'm a very lucky guy.
Yes, dear, and speaking for the children and myself, I'd say we're very lucky, too.
Once a year, you have the chance to make one contribution toward all the services of the community chest. Give now. Give generously. Help your community chest serve the health, welfare, and recreational needs of all America and of our servicemen and women here and abroad. Join us again next week when we'll be back with Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson. Until then, good night and good luck from the makers of Post 40% Bran Flakes, the cereal preferred and eaten by far more people than any other Bran Flakes, and Instant Sanka, the delicious coffee that lets you sleep. In our cast were Rhoda Williams as Betty, Gene Vanderpyle, Ted Donaldson, Helen Strome, Eleanor Audley, Herb Vigran, and Arthur Q. Bryan.
Calcium is essential to a child's growth.
And now there's calcium in hot wheat meal.
Calcium helps build strong, sturdy bones.
And now there's calcium in hot wheat meal.
Calcium helps build good, strong teeth.
And now there's calcium in hot wheat meal.
Yes, a 1-ounce serving contains 1/3 of your daily calcium needs. Serve your children calcium-enriched Post wheat meal. Kids love that nut-like flavor. Wheat meal cooks instantly. Get new Post wheat meal with more calcium than any other cereal, hot or cold.
Father Knows Best was transcribed in Hollywood and written by Ed James. This is Bill Foreman speaking.
Tonight, play Truth or Consequences on the...
I guess the thoughts of the measles really put a Halloween scare in the Andersons and their friends. But it allowed Father to reflect on what's really important. We'll continue our Halloween Spooktacular right after this message.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV are excited to be able to bring you Colfax High School girls basketball for the 2022 to 2023 season. We'll tip off the season on Tuesday, November 15th when the Vikings host the Hudson Raiders. Live coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN-TV begins with Viking pregame at 6:45 p.m. That's live Colfax Viking girls basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV on Tuesday, November 15th.
Fibber McGee and Molly premiered in 1935. The program struggled in the ratings until 1940, when it became a national sensation. Within 3 years, it was the top-rated program in America. Few radio shows were more beloved than Fibber McGee and Molly. The program's lovable characters included Mayor La Trivia, Doc Gamble, Mrs. Uppington, Wallace Wimple, Alice Darling, Gildersleeve, Beulah, Mert, and the Old-Timer. 79 Wistful Vista was one of America's most famous addresses, and Molly's warning to Fibber not to open the hall closet door created one of radio's best-remembered running gags that audiences expected each week. Fibber McGee and Molly was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in 1989. The show was first broadcast date April 16, 1935, and ran until its final broadcast on September 6, 1959. In this episode, which aired on October 24, 1939, on NBC, and was sponsored by Johnson's Wax, Fibber decides to play a practical joke at Gildersleeve's Halloween party. Starring Jim Jordan, Marion Jordan, Harlow Wilcox, Billy Mills and his orchestra, Donald Novus, Harold Peary, Bill Thompson, and Isabel Randolph, here's Fibber McGee and Molly with Gildersleeve's Halloween party.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Marion and Jim Jordan as Fibber McGee and Molly with Donald Novus, Bill Thompson, and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with Life Begins When You're in Love. Are the colors of your kitchen linoleum as bright and fresh as the day you first picked it out, or have they become dull and faded? Do you know the easy way to keep the colors of linoleum bright and cheerful? The answer, with Johnston's Self-Polishing Glow Coat. Glow Coat turns a dull, lifeless floor into a beautiful floor in 20 minutes. It requires no rubbing or buffing. That's why it's called self-polishing. And that's just one of the reasons why Glow Coat has become America's #1 floor polish. You can use Glow Coat on your varnished or painted wood floors, too. It gives a hard, gleaming polish that's easy to keep clean and spotless. If you spill something on a floor protected with Glow Coat, you simply mop it up with a damp cloth. Now, if you aren't using Glow Coat on your linoleum floors,
Order some tomorrow from your dealer. Remember the name GLO-COAT. Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat. There's a gay Halloween party in progress tonight, given by the McGee's next-door neighbors, the Throckmorton P. Gildersleeves. And among the guests, we find many names from Wistful Vista's Blue Book, plus 2 names from Wistful Vista's telephone book, Fibber McGee and Molly.
Well, it's quite a party, ain't it, Molly?
Certainly is, McGee. But stop blowing cigar smoke in my face, dearie.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you'd like it. This is one of the best cigars.
Oh, there, McGee. Hello, Mrs. McGee. Mighty glad you could come over tonight.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve. It's a lovely party.
I'll have to hand it to you, Gildersleeve, for thinking up clever games to play.
Clever games?
Yeah, like hiding the cigars. How'd you ever think of hiding them in the bottom drawer of your dresser?
Why, McGee, you had no business snooping in Mr. Gildersleeve's dresser.
Oh, that's quite all right, folks. Always glad to have the guests make themselves at home.
That's what I figured.
If you'd like to check over my last bank statement, McGee, you'll find it in the desk in the library.
You must be mistaken, Gildersleeve. I didn't see it, and I went all through that desk when I was looking for the cigar.
Heavenly days, McGee. Don't be so snoopy.
I ain't snoopy. I'm just alert. Incidentally, Gildersleeve, there's a letter on your desk from your tailor. You mean to tell me you pay $85 for them suits of yours?
Why, yes, I do, McGee.
My goodness. McGee buys 4 of them for that price, don't you, dear?
Is that so?
Oh, sure.
You mean he buys his clothes?
What?
Well, if you'll excuse me, folks, I'll see how the other guests are getting along. Have a good time.
What does he mean, do I buy my clothes? Where does he think I get them?
Well, if you get him where I think he thinks you get him, I think you'll think twice about asking.
You mean you think I don't
Well, hello there, Molly. Hello, Fibber. Gee, we're having fun.
What are you doing, Mr. Wilcox?
Oh, playing games. Come on in the other room. Boomer's going to do some sleight-of-hand tricks.
Oh, swell. Come on, McGee.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for my first astounding bit of wizardry, I take this $5 bill. Don't seem to have a $5 bill. Will someone from the group pass me a $5 bill?
Why a $5 bill, Boomer? Can't you do it with a 1?
Certainly not. 5 is a magical number. 5 pennies and a nickel, 5 nickels and a quarter, and 5 quarters in a dollar and a quarter. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Thank you, sucker. Now, watch me closely. Presto, abracadabra, zingo, and the bill has disappeared. Entirely without the use of mirrors or concealed wires. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, now, quiet, please. Now, with another simple twist of the wrist, I might say a slight pang of regret, I will restore the $5 bill. Presto, abracadabra, zingo. And here, well, must have made a slip somewhere. Can't seem to bring it back.
Oh, no, you don't, Boomer. Fork over that fin.
Come, uncouth. Surely you're not accusing Horatio K. Boomer of chicanery. Have your $5 right here someplace. Now, where can I put that $5 bill? Let me look through my pockets.
That guy's so light-fingered he has to stick his hands under an anvil to get a manicure.
And they better keep an eye on the anvil, too.
Now, let me see. $5 bill, $5 bill. Where can I put that $5 bill? Ah, here it is. No, it isn't either. That's a photograph of my cousin Guernsey, Boomer.
Good heavens, bow-legged, isn't he?
Not naturally, my dear, but he's been ridden out of town on a rail so often his knees have lost touch with each other. Now, let me see. Here's an advertisement for asbestos seat covers. Very handy for driving hot cars. Package of corn remover. Here, give some to your scriptwriter. Postcard from Minnie the Moocher. Ha-ha, the dear girl. Says she's now a facial masseuse in Texas. The little panhandler. Small bottle of mint sauce in case I want to take it on the lamb. A check for short beer. Well, imagine that. An old $5 bill. Wonder if it could have blown out the window. I'll blow out the door and see.
I'll say it is. Just out of curiosity, I dropped a sleeping tablet in the needle box, and it's been playing a man in his dream for 20 minutes.
Well, hello there, Johnny. Hello, daughter. Quite a party, ain't it?
Yes, it certainly is, Mr. Oldtimer.
Hey!
She says, yes, it is. People go to parties for the same reason bald-headed guys go to burlesque shows. They at least have the illusion of letting their hair down.
Johnny, but that ain't the way I heard it. The way I heard it, the president's secretary said to him, "Say, Mr. Roosevelt," he says, "I haven't seen you made any appointments for next week." "Nope," says Mr. Roosevelt. "I thought I'd do my Christmas shopping early." Well, I gotta go in the other room, Johnny. They're bobbing for apples, and I gotta get my girl out of there. She's a pippin'.
Well, the old coop's on a hoot, ain't he, Molly? If he was ever...
Ah, there, folks. How's everything going?
Oh, just fine, Mr. Gildersleeve.
By the way, when do we eat, Rocky?
Well, we're serving a buffet supper a little later.
Hot dog, you hear that, Molly? A buffet supper.
Oh, that's McGee's favorite kind of a meal, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah?
He goes around a buffet table like Seabiscuit on a fast track.
Well, that's fine, yes. Or is it? But before we have dinner, folks, we're going to have a little more fun. Mrs. Uppington's going to tell somebody's fortune. Oh, yes, they're drawing names in the other room now to see who the lucky man is. Huh? Say, it looks like you're it, McGee. Oh, this should be very amusing.
Yes. It's the first party we ever went to where McGee stuck out his hand instead of his neck.
Oh, here he is, folks.
Oh, there you are, Mr. McGee. I hope you don't mind having your fortune told.
Why, shucks no, Uppy. As the chicken says when he busted out of the egg, I guess the future is worth taking a peep at. Which hand do you want to read?
Well, that depends, Mr. McGee. Are you right or left-handed?
Well, I think he's left-handed. He reached for the lunch check with his right hand today and fumbled terribly.
Well, then give me your left hand, Mr. McGee.
Okay, here you are. Paw, meet Mrs. Uppington. Mrs. Uppington, my paw.
How do you do? I'm very glad. Oh, my, that was a joke, wasn't it? Oh, now wait till I put on my glasses. I didn't have them on the last time I told a man's fortune, and I was horribly embarrassed, you know.
Why, Mrs. Uppington?
Oh, my dear. He had pigskin gloves on, and I told him I could see him lying on a plate with 2 fried eggs and a piece of toast. Oh, you silly girl.
Well, get busy, Uppy. Tell me, pretty gypsy.
Oh, very well. Now, first we come to the matter of intelligence.
Oh, we do, eh? Get a load of this, folks.
The intelligence is indicated by small mounds at the base of the fingers.
What mounds? I ain't got any mounds.
And now, this line, this is a lifeline.
Well, throw it out. I'm going down for the 3rd time.
Your lifeline tells me that... Oh, good heavens.
What, Mrs. Uppington?
Oh, Mrs. McGee, I regret to inform you that your husband has been dead for 12 years.
Very good, Abigail, very good. Well, folks, we have time for a couple of more games before supper is served. Have you any suggestions?
Oh, yes, toast off.
You know, I think it'd be fun if we turned out the lights and told ghost stories.
Okay, that's fine. That's a splendid idea. Everybody sit down, folks. I'll turn out the lights.
Want me to tell the first ghost story, folks?
Say, what do you know about telling ghost stories, dearie?
Who, me? Why, shucks, I've been an expert on ghost stories ever since I was a kid. Used to give myself the creeps before I could walk. I made quite a study of ghost stories. That was every time I'd walk into somebody's yard. Folks would shake their heads and look grave. Graveyard McGee, I was known as. Graveyard McGee, the gloomiest guy that ever gave goose flesh to a gay gathering with my gory and gruesome goblin gabbling, getting guys' goats with great gobs of ghastly goings-on, galvanizing groups of gaping greenhorns with garrulous and graphic gibberish, and garnering the greatest bag of golden ghosts from the gusty gales of the Greenland Sea to the giddy... Ouch! Who's pinching me?
McGee, if you know so much about ghost stories, you go ahead and tell one.
Okay, well, now let me think about it.
I know one. Shall I tell it?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. Well, it happened one night when I was driving through the swamps of Louisiana, when suddenly my engine went dead. And there I was stranded miles from nowhere, and a storm coming up. I had to find shelter somewhere, so I walked up the road to a deserted-looking, ramshackle old house. But before I could knock, the door swung slowly open.
Hey, what's that?
Excuse me, folks. My foot was asleep and I was straightening out my legs. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, as soon as my eyes got used to the darkness, I saw a ghostly, shimmering figure. I heard a hollow voice say, "Where's my head?"
Heavens, Mr. Wilcox, weren't you horribly perturbed?
Was I? My nerves were waving back and forth like windshield wipers. But I took myself in hand and I said, "I'm sorry, buddy, but I haven't got your head. Where'd you lose it?" And the ghost said, "Right in this house. I came home one day, and when I saw the kitchen floor looking so dull and dingy, streaked and worn, I flew into a rage.
Oh, sure.
I lost my head and bawled my wife out something terrible. Gee, I wish I hadn't done it, because I know now what I should have done. But by that time, I had the door open again, and I ran like the dickens."
Well, what was the point of that story, Mr. Wilcox?
Well, the point is that if you're haunted by the appearance of dull, faded, hard-to-clean linoleum floors, just try Johnson's Glow Coat. The no-rubbing, no-buffing floor polish that's so easy to use and keeps linoleum looking you indefinitely. And not only that...
Okay. You've pulled the plug, now get out of the tub. Turn the lights on, somebody.
Just a moment, folks. I think supper's ready, so if you want to step into the dining room...
Well, come on, McGee. What are you waiting for?
You go ahead, Molly. I'll be in later. I got something I want to do. Kind of a Halloween gag. Don't say anything to anybody. Now, I'll be back in a little while. Boy, it's dark out here. I'd like to see Gildersleeve's face tomorrow when he looks in his garage. Oh! Hey, get away from me! Who's there? Who's that?
Yeah, I bet I scared you, didn't I?
Oh, hello there, little girl. It's so dark out here, I didn't see you. What you doing?
Hmm?
I says, what you doing?
Playing Halloween.
Oh.
Gee, have I been having the fun, too. Tipping over garbage cans and soap on windows and scaring people and everything.
Oh, you have, eh?
Sure.
Well, this is the night for it, sis. Incidentally, you know the difference between a ghost and a sailor with a sprained ankle?
No.
Well, one's a hobgoblin and the other's a gobhobbling. I says one is a Oh, never mind. You run along and have your fun, sis. I got some private business to attend to.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Never you mind now.
I bet you're gonna ring somebody's doorbell, I bet you.
Oh, no, I ain't.
Oh, yes, you are.
Oh, no, I ain't.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no. Listen, sis. You run along and have your fun, and I'll go and have mine.
Oh, why don't you let me go with you? Please, why won't you?
Dad, it because I can't let... Don't talk so loud, sis. Now, listen, you know whose garage this is?
Sure. It's Mr. Gildersleeve, I bet you.
That's right, and I'm Mr. McGee. I live right next door here.
Sure.
I'm going to play a Halloween trick on Mr. Gildersleeve. We don't want him to hear us. Now, look, I'm going to sneak into Gildersleeve's garage and let all the air out of his tire. Will that be a panic, or won't it?
Will it?
Why, sure it will. Boy, when old Gildersleeve comes out in the morning and... Quiet, sis. Now, don't make so much noise.
Gee, you're making all the noise, I bet you.
Oh, well, come on now. If you want to be in on this, help me push this garage door open.
Gee, are we having a fun?
I wish it wasn't so dark in here, but I don't dare strike a light. Now, look, sis. You let the air out of the tires on that side, and I'll do the same on this side. You know how to let the air out?
Sure. I'll let the air out of 5 cars already tonight, I bet you.
Okay, go ahead.
Gee, isn't this a dandy idea, mister?
I thought it was pretty good myself, sis. But don't you ever tell him.
Hey, mister, the tires are flat on this side.
Okay, same here now, sis. Now, remember, this is a secret between you and me.
Sure.
I got to get back to the party now.
Okay. You know any more riddles, mister?
Huh? No, I don't know any more riddles.
I do.
Huh?
What's the difference between a peanut butter sandwich and a policeman?
Peanut butter sandwich and a policeman. I'm sorry, sis. I'm afraid I don't know the difference between a peanut butter sandwich and a policeman.
Honest?
Yep.
Oh, I guess that's your tough luck then, mister, because here comes the policeman now.
Hey.
Come on, mister.
What? Hey, let me out of here.
Folks, Donald Novus sings With a Song in My Heart.
With a song in my heart, I behold your adorable face. Just a song at the start, but it soon is a hymn to your grace. When the music swells, I am touching your hand. It tells that you're standing near. And at the sound of your voice, heaven opens its portals to me. Can I help but rejoice that a song such as ours came to be? But I always knew I would live life through with a song in my heart for you. But I always knew I would live life through with a song in my heart.
Well, have you got your hat, dearie?
Yeah, well, we'll have to go now.
Well, I'm sorry you folks have to leave so early. But I'm mighty glad you could come over.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve. My, it's been a simply marvelous party.
Ah, you betcha, Throcky, old man. You sure know how to throw a party.
Oh, it was lovely. Say goodnight to Mrs. Gildersleeve for me.
Yeah, me too, Gildersleeve. She's a wonderful cook, that wife of yours. Tell her how we had a terrific time tonight.
I certainly will. I'm sorry she was so busy in the kitchen she couldn't meet any of you folks. But you must come over again sometime.
Oh, could I have my chauffeur drop you somewhere, Mrs. McGee?
Oh, no, thank you, Mrs. Uppington. We just live next door. Well, good night. We've had a wonderful time, Mr. Gildersleeve. Good night.
Good night, Gildersleeve.
Good night, Mrs. McGee. Good night, Pipper.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Boy, what a lousy party.
Heavenly days. Whoever told them they knew how to entertain?
Yeah. Old Gildersleeve and his expensive cigars. Look at 'em. Dry as a bone. All 10 of 'em.
Well, I'm going right up to bed, dearie. I'm tired.
Yeah, well, I'm coming up, too.
Oh, my goodness, I hope I don't have bad dreams from that terrible food. Did you taste those hors d'oeuvres, McGee?
Oh, they didn't look tempting to me. Carmen. Imagine that. Imagine old Lady Uppington trying to tell fortunes. I think I'll get her a crystal 8-ball for Christmas.
Now, don't drop your shoes there on the floor, right where somebody will stumble over them.
Well, they're on my side of the bed. I'll be the one to stumble over them.
Hand me my cold cream, dearie.
Okay.
Thanks. Did you notice the cheap towels in the bathroom? They were like limp sandpaper.
Yeah, sure. Hey, you scare me with all that cold cream on your face, Molly. Why didn't you wear that mask to the party? Imagine them old fogies playing post office at their age. There ain't one of them with sufficient postage. What time will I set the clock for?
Oh, not too early, dearie. I'll want to sleep a while in the morning.
Yeah, me too, after a night like that.
That ghost story of Mr. Wilcox.
Yeah.
I'll bet the sponsor haunts him.
The way those people ate. Did you see the old-timer? He was chasing the ham around like an actor's agent. Hey, this underwear don't fit as good as it did a few years ago, Molly.
It doesn't?
It's getting a little snug around the ankles. Where's my pajamas? Oh, here they are.
Hang up your pants.
Oh, I'll hang them up in the morning. Oh, baby, does this bed feel good to Papa? Oh, say, remind me to tell you sometime about the trick I pulled on Gildersleeve tonight, Molly. It was a peach. Oh, what a party that was. Good night, Molly.
Good night, dearie. Oh, I wonder who that is at this time of night. 79 Wistful Vista, Molly McGee speaking. Who? Oh, yes. Oh, well, that was real thoughtful of you. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, we had a simply wonderful time. Yes. Good night. McGee, that was Mr. Gildersleeve.
What'd that stuffed shirt want?
Well, he really did you a favor. He said he forgot to tell you while you were over there.
Forgot to tell me what?
Well, his car was downtown being repaired, and he saw ours standing in the alley, and he was afraid the Halloween pranksters would hurt it, so he put it in his own garage.
That was nice of him. Maybe he ain't such a bad...
What?
My own car? I let the air out of my own car?
be back in just a moment. Look down at your floors for a moment. Is there anything in your entire home that gets such hard wear? No wonder they need wax protection. No floor finish like a varnish, shellac, or paint can stand up forever against the constant attack of scuffing and scraping shoes and sharp heels. These finishes themselves need the protection of a tough material that can be quickly and easily renewed. And that material is Johnson's wax. Certain floor areas, such as halls and around doorways, get more wear than others. With Johnson's wax, these traffic areas can be touched up and re-waxed without waxing the entire floor. In addition to providing this money-saving protection, Johnson's wax gives you rich, mellow, beautiful floors that add charm to your entire home. With every application, this beauty increases, while your housework decreases, because waxed floors never need scrubbing, and they're easiest of all floors to keep clean. Ask your dealer for genuine Johnson's wax, paste or liquid, in the familiar red and yellow package.
Folks, we didn't really feel that way about Gildersleeve's party. We just wanted to give you an idea of what we think happens after one of our parties. Incidentally, Molly, there's one game we didn't play over there tonight.
What was that, dearie?
Pin the tail on the elephant.
You mean on the donkey?
Oh, no, Gildersleeve's a Republican. Oh. Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Blow Coat, Racine, Wisconsin, inviting you all to be with us again next Tuesday night at this same time. Good night.
Heard on the program tonight were Are You Having Any Fun from George White's Scandals and Ding Dong the Witch is Dead from The Wizard of Oz. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
I guess the Halloween prank backfired on McGee. Well, that's a lesson to be learned for sure. That was Fibber McGee and Molly from October 24th, 1939, entitled Gildersleeve's Halloween Party. We'll have more of our Halloween Spooktacular right after this.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV are excited to bring you Colfax High School boys basketball.
This is what we came here for!
We'll tip off the boys' season on Tuesday, November 22nd, when the Vikings take on the Thorpe Cardinals. Coverage on the Northern Light Webcasting Network audio service and on NLWN-TV begins with Viking pregame, which will follow shortly after the girls' game with Bloomer concludes. That's Colfax Viking boys basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV on Tuesday, November 22nd.
Welcome back to our Halloween Spooktacular. Up next, we have an episode of Suspense. This episode did not air near Halloween, but it sure fits in with the theme of tonight. In this story, radio personality Smiley Smith and paranormal investigator Dr. Reed tour a haunted house in Malibu, California. Their experiences are recorded for playback on Smith's show. The house, known as the Death Trap, has a bad reputation because 4 of its residents have committed suicide. Ghost Hunt was adapted for suspense by Walter Newman from an original story by the renowned ghost story writer Herbert Russell Wakefield. Ralph Edwards, who starred as Smiley Smith, was the creator of Truth or Consequences, This Is Your Life, named that tune in the People's Court. According to the website of Ralph Edwards Productions, at least one Ralph Edwards show has been on radio or television every year for the past 65, a feat unmatched in Hollywood. Joseph Kearns starred as Dr. Reed and Paul Frees, the voice of the ghost host at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, was the suspense announcer. And now, from June 23rd, 1949, Suspense and Ghost Hunt.
Now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Mr. Ralph Edwards in Ghost Hunt, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. Friends, replace worn-out narrow-gap spark plugs with a set of those new wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. Your motor will idle smoother, give better performance on leaner gas mixtures, actually save gas. These winning benefits are all made possible by a newly developed Autolite 10,000-ohm resistor, built right into every Autolite resistor spark plug, making practical a wider spark gap setting, and that's what does the trick. What's more, Autolite resistor spark plugs with this exclusive Autolite resistor have greatly increased electrode life and cut down on radio and television interference. So, folks, see your Autolite dealer and have him replace old, worn-out, narrow-gap spark plugs with a set of the new Autolite resistor spark plugs. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And also remember, the Autolite Suspense Show is now on television.
Every Tuesday night in many parts of the country. And now, Autolite presents Ralph Edwards in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Yeah, didn't that leave you high, huh? Left me feeling treetop tall. That was Louis Armstrong's I Can't Give You Anything But Love. And that's all we have time for on the Hot and Mellow Hour tonight. Yes, this is Smiley Smith, your favorite disc jockey. I hope, hooting the Hot and Mellow Hour home for this evening. I'll be back again tomorrow night, minus the music, but with a little surprise for you. Tomorrow night, Friday night, as you know, is stunt night here at station WXP, and have I got a stunt for you. Last week, if you remember, I planted my wire recorder in the steam room at a lady's Turkish bath and then let you listen in on the playback, remember? Well, tonight, as soon as I leave the studio, do you know where I'm going? Your friend Smiley is going to spend the night in a haunted house on a spook hunt. You heard me. Good house. I'm bringing my little old wire recorder along with me. Are known to have committed suicide there. So tune in tomorrow night and share a real thrill with your old pal Smiley. I must be crazy, Smith. Good night.
Care for a cigar, Mr. Thorpe? I got some cigars in the dash there.
No.
Well, no reason for you to carry a chip on your shoulder, Mr. Thorpe.
Oh, really? Well, I don't like this fool stunt.
Well, I don't see it as a fool stunt at all. I really don't. I think it's the only way you're going to unload this house. Ordinary selling methods won't work in a case like this. Now, don't forget the reputation saddling this house. 4 suicides since 1939. You know what people call it. The death trap.
Yeah. It's a lot of nonsense.
Sure, but try to convince people of that. Anyway, when this disc jockey offered me this chance to kill all the rumors about the about the property, I just naturally jumped and took him up at it. Especially since it don't cost a cent.
You sure about that? I'm not liable for a penny.
Not a cent. We're doing him a favor letting him use the place, he said. Thanked me for the chance last night when I drove him out here. So one hand washes the other, as the feller says. He got a chance to pull off a stunt, and the wire recording will prove the people the property is A1, and we increase the chance of selling the place.
Well, as long as it doesn't cost me anything.
Not a cent. He's using his own recorder, and I'm paying for the rental of a couple of walkie-talkies he hooked up to it.
Well, what about this, Reed? Does he charge anything?
He comes gratis, too. Dr. Reed is a psychic investigator. Belongs to a couple of societies that do nothing but hunt ghosts. He showed me articles he's written about it in a magazine.
Oh.
Well, here's the house.
Yeah, looks real nice in the sunshine, don't it? Yeah, man, smell that sea breeze.
You don't have to tell me. Well, let them know we're here.
Yeah, probably asleep up all night and everything.
Why don't they come out? You think they've gone?
Well, I told them last night I'd pick them up around 11. Smith! Smith! Hey, Smiley! Dr. Reed! Yeah, fast asleep, I guess. We better go in and wake him up.
Of course, they may have taken the bus back to town.
No. It's a 2-mile hike to the main highway. Smith! Hey, Smiley. Where are you? Wake up.
You don't suppose, do you?
Oh, no. Smith. Dr. Reed.
What's that clicking noise from in there?
Well, it's his wire recorder. He left it running. These machines cost a lot of money. Doesn't he care if he uses up his battery?
Well, where is he and where's this Reed?
Maybe they're upstairs. Smith? Hey, anybody home?
They must have walked to the highway and taken the bus.
Well, you wouldn't have left these machines.
Well, where are they then? Where are they?
Now, don't get excited, Mr. Thorpe.
Don't tell me not to get excited. If something's happened to them at my house, I'm liable.
Well, you try this side. I'll try that one.
All right.
Smith. Hey, Smiley.
Smith. Oh. McDonald, come here.
Well, what? Oh, no. Reed. Dr. Reed. No, don't touch him, Mr. Thorpe. You'll get your hands off. Look.
Blood. Is he dead?
I can still feel his pulse. We better get him to hospital fast. Care for a cigar, Mr. Thorpe?
No, thanks.
Well, why not try to relax? The nurse said Reed would be all right as soon as he's had a blood transfusion.
You told the radio station to be sure and call us as soon as they had any word about Smith?
Yes, I told them. Why don't you sit down?
No, I'm all at 6s and 7s. What do you suppose happened out there last night?
We're going to know in just a second, just as soon as I can get this recorder set up.
You don't suppose Smith and Reed got into a fight, do you?
Yeah, there. Huh? A fight? I don't know.
Well, what's wrong? Won't it work?
Yeah, it works. Take it easy.
1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
There.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. All set, Dr. Reed? Miss McDonald, hey? Okay, here we go. This is Smiley Smith speaking. Smiley Smith, the ghost hunter. I don't know whether to hope this will turn out to be a success for the sake of the program or a failure for my own sake. Anyway, all the preparations have been made now, and it's up to the spooks. I better tell you where we are. Right now, we're standing on the lawn of a house about 12 miles above Malibu Beach. The ocean is 100 feet away, straight down. The house is perched on a cliff, and there's a sheer drop of about 100 feet right into the old Pacific. Maybe you can hear the surf pounding. I'll turn up the volume. Hear it? Now, I'm going to have you meet two gentlemen who are here with me. Incidentally, we're the only people around for miles and miles. First, I'd like you to meet Dr. Clarence Reed of the British and American Psychical Research Guild. Dr. Reed is a famous investigator of psychic phenomena, and I'm very honored to be associated with him on this ghost hunt. He's smiling in an embarrassed sort of way.
You're much too kind, Mr. Smith.
Dr. Reed has conducted experiments in this field with such great believers in spiritualism as Oliver Lodge and Arthur Conan Doyle. He looks a bit like Santa Claus. He's short, stocky. You don't object, do you, Dr. Reed?
No, indeed.
And he has a magnificent white beard, a truly great beaver. Dr. Reed is so enthusiastic about ghost hunting that he got out of a sick bed this evening to be with us.
Excuse me. My lungs. I was gassed in the First World War.
Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Reed and I are here on the lawn looking at the house. Can't see much. It's around, 11 p.m. now. Seems to be a rambling sort of house, 2 stories high. Since it was built, there have been 4 suicides here. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, into the mic.
Oh, yeah. 4 suicides since 1939.
I better tell them who you are so they won't think you're a ghost. Standing with the doc and me is a real estate agent, Mr. Charles McDonald. He handles this property, and he can tell you a lot more about it than I can.
Well, the house was built by a man named Marcus, Toby Marcus, an orange grower. Built the house as a wedding present for his wife. A month after they moved in, she took her own life. On the day of her funeral, he committed suicide the same way. There have been 2 other cases since then, and
Did they all jump into the ocean?
Yeah, all 4 of them, right over there.
Yeah.
The last one was actually seen doing it about 3 years ago. He was seen running like all get out the edge of the cliff, and he was shouting and laughing and yelling as though there was people at his side running right along with him.
You kidding?
No, it's fact. He was laughing and yelling and running, and when he got to the edge, right over there, he jumped and never came above water.
As good an argument against cold baths as ever I've heard.
Since then, people just refuse to live in this house. Silly, I call it. Anyway, if you and Dr. Reed find any sign of a spook, I'll advise the owner to pull the house down and rebuild. But if you don't find anything, I'm hoping this will convince folks that here's a real buy. Okay, Mr. Smith, you and the doctor are on your own. I'll be by in the morning to pick you up around 11.
Goodbye, Miss McDonald. I hope there's something left for you to pick up in the morning. Well, it's almost pitch black, folks, and I guess Dr. Reed and I ought to begin. I don't believe in ghosts, never have, but what I say is this. If you're dead set on looking for them, this is a dandy place to do it. So long! Mr. McDonald just checked out. And then there were 2. Well, 3. Oh, my dog, yeah. Folks, I have my dog, Jeff, with me. He's a wire-haired terrier, 3 years of age, and he can talk. Yeah, say hello, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. Say hello. Come on. Well, anyway, he's a wire-haired terrier, and he's 3 years old. Shall we go inside now, Dr. Reed?
I was about to suggest it.
Now, how do we hunt ghosts, Doctor? How do we do it, huh?
Well, we don't really hunt them. If there should be any in the house, they will come to us.
How cozy.
And please, not ghosts. Do not refer to them as ghosts. We know them as apparitions.
Now, remember, I've no desire to hurt their feelings. Where ghosts are concerned, I say live and let live. Well, we've opened the front door now. Maybe you heard the hinge squeak a little. Now we're standing here looking in. Can't see much. Smells sort of musty and damp. But... Come on, Jeff. What's the matter, boy? Jeff. Oh, come on now. Come on. My dog seems to object to entering this house. He has all 4 feet braced, and he's straining against the leash.
Perhaps he senses something we don't.
Like apparitions, maybe?
Perhaps. It's not unusual. Animals lack the veneer of sophistication we humans possess, and are more sensitive to such admonition.
Yeah, come on, Jeff. Now, stop this nonsense. He probably smells a mouse or a rat or something. Come on, Jeff. We're going in whether you like it or not. Well, there's a short entrance hall, and over there at the end of it is a flight of stairs leading to the 2nd floor. Jeff! And over here at the left is what seems to be a large reception room. We're entering this large room now. There are windows over there, French windows, and through them I can see the ocean. The electricity hasn't been turned on, so all I have to see by is a flashlight. Not a very powerful one at that. Dr. Reed is now adjusting his walkie-talkie. It's hooked up to my recorder so that he can cut in while he's hunting and tell us what he's found. Here's a few words from Doc before he sets forth on his investigation through the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Mr. Smith has introduced me as a ghost hunter. He spoke, I think, in a spirit of skepticism and levity. I'd like to assure you all that my purposes here are serious. I have spent my entire life seeking reliable proof of the appearances of apparitions.
Have you ever seen any? Ever?
I have seen phenomena which lead me to believe in the possibility of their existence, although I have never seen any. I account myself sensitive to the evidence of their existence. This house, for example, affects me profoundly. It doesn't seem to affect you in the same way.
I'm not too happy about all this, if that's what you mean.
You are not psychic, and therefore not sensitive to these matters as I am. I imagine the question in the minds of those of you listening to us is, shall we find apparitions? I don't know. But I feel they are here and that they are evil. I sense danger. I shall soon know.
Dr. Reed's leaving the room now to make a tour of the house. First thing I'm going to do is open the windows and let some fresh air in. Feels better already. Cooler anyway. I know that. Oh, a bat just flew into the room. I think it's a bat, not a bird. I didn't actually see it, just its shadow as it fanned my face. There it is again. It touched me as it passed. Jeff, come back here. Jeff, you fool dog, come back here. Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed!
For suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. Ralph Edwards in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hello, snap out of it.
Huh? I'm reading a letter about the new wide gap Autolite resistor spark plug, Cap.
Oh?
It's from Mrs. Clark Perry right here in Hollywood. She says our 1948 station wagon has given constant trouble. Finally, the garage man said all the difficulty was spark plugs, and he installed a set of Autolite resistor spark plugs. Now the car runs beautifully. The very first time my husband has been really pleased.
Well, smart garage man.
Smart people to take his advice. Hap, you know, as more and more people learn about wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs and how they make an engine idle smoother, give better performance on leaner gas mixtures, actually save on gas, why then more people will replace old, worn-out, narrow gap spark plugs with sensational new wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs.
Any more letters like that, Harlow?
Plenty, Hap, plenty. Why, here's another one from New York City.
Oh, read it to me later, Harlow. We haven't time because here's suspense.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Ralph Edwards as Smiley Smith in Ghost Hunt, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Jeff, come back here. Jeff, you fool dog, come back here. Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed!
Reed speaking. What is it, Smith?
Jeff has run off. My dog, he jumped through the window and ran off.
Oh, so? I told you he sent something about this house, didn't I?
Yeah, you want to come and see if you can determine what it was exactly that set him off?
Soon. I'm making my way slowly up the stairs toward the second floor now. I'm halfway up. I'll be down with you soon.
Folks, my dog's run away. You probably heard him howling. He jumped through the window and took off. Never did anything like that before. Frightened by the bat, I guess. Personally, alone here in this big room, I can understand how he must have felt. This isn't a cheerful spot by any means. I may not be psychic, but I sure have a feeling this house doesn't want us here.
Read again. Excuse me. I have something of great interest to report. I'm now standing in an alcove on the second floor trying to recover my breath. As I reached the head of the stairs, I felt what I think is a definite psychic manifestation. I felt suddenly as though I had been punched in the solar plexus. That's the only way I can describe it. At the same time, I began to perspire. My head is still swimming slightly, and I have difficulty in swallowing. My pulse rate is around 110 in a minute. The sense of evil is very strong. I feel very, what shall I say, profoundly depressed.
Do you want me up there?
No. I prefer to remain up here alone. The presence of a disbeliever such as you might interfere with my investigation.
Folks, I'd like you to get a picture of what it's like here. It's very quiet, for one thing. I've never been in such a quiet place. And it's pretty dark. No light except my flashlight. Tell you what, you go now and douse all the lights you have on. Go ahead, put out the lights, and that'll give you a clearer feeling of how it is here with me. Go ahead, put out the lights. Hey, did you hear that? The real estate agent told me I'd probably hear rats and mice in the walls. Oh, I can certainly hear them now. Even you can hear them, I think. It's as though...
Dr. Nate speaking. I've been working my way toward the front room, the one directly above the one in which Mr. Smith is now. The vibrations have become stronger and more pronounced as I approach it. I think I am on the verge of an important discovery.
Important discovery. Did you get that? Now I can hear Dr. Reed moving about in the room above. I don't suppose you can. Have a try anyway, huh? Hear him? I hope he finishes his investigation soon, because, quite frankly, I'd like to get out of here. I can well imagine people becoming unhinged in this place. Right now, I find myself pretty jumpy. Not being very brave, am I? Being alone in this room down here that does it, this darned old house, it's very, the atmosphere, it's so very...
I wish only to make this hurried report before continuing with the investigation in this room. I have carefully sounded out all the parts in this room, and the emanations are most strong from what appears to be a closet, before which I am now standing. As soon as I open the door to this closet, I will have, I think, a thing of great interest to communicate. I find no key to the lock, and so I will attempt to remove the hinges with my penknife, and I will tell you what I find when I open it.
I'll tell you what it would cost to get me to open that door. In the basement at Fort... There's that bat again. It seems to like me the way each time it passes, it touches my face or my neck with its wings. Smelly things, bats. I don't suppose they bathe very often, if at all. I wonder how... Get away, you bat! That bat'll be the death of me. That's like a jingle, isn't it? Bat'll be the death of me, the death of me, the death of me, bat'll be the death of me. It isn't far from London. No, that isn't the way it goes. It's come down to Q in lilac time, in lilac time, in lilac time. Come down to Q in lilac time. It isn't far. Well, I haven't thought of that since I was a kid in grammar school. See, I had a lonely childhood when you come right down to it. That's my affair, isn't it? Yes, it is. It most certainly is.
I have succeeded in removing the hinges to the door, and I find inside it is not a closet, but much larger. It is, I think, a dressing room. I have not yet been inside, but I am about to enter.
What was I talking about? Bats. Well, the bat flying back and forth in this room. Did you hear that? Did you hear it? Dr. Reed must have knocked something over in the dressing room. A chair, yeah, a heavy chair by the sound of it. The chair, or whatever it was, must have fallen right over my head. That's the way it sounded. I can see a small stain forming right on the ceiling, right over my head. Something ran across my foot just a rat, I think it was. I've always hated rats. Most people do, of course. That stain up there bothers me. It's gotten so big so soon. I think I'll take a chance and bother Reed and ask him what it is. Dr. Reed. Reed, can you hear me? Are you all right? Hello? Well, he didn't answer. I think he's just a little bit deaf. Think so. What do you suppose he's found, huh? I'm afraid this is rather dull for you listeners. I'm not finding it so, of course. There. I heard him cough. Did you hear that cough? Hope he's all right. He got out of the sick bed to come here this evening, you know. He was gassed in the First World War, and this place is beginning to get on my nerves a wee bit. Just a teensy-weensy bit.
Reed, speaking.
Hello? He's switched off. That's the bad cough he's got. I feel so lonely. Been alone so much in my life. Not so much now, of course, but when I was younger, I was alone so much of the time. You know, struggling to get ahead, living in a hall bedroom, wondering where my next meal was coming from. I get the blues just remembering it. Seems sad, young people having to spend so much time alone. Sad for old people, too, of course. I'm saying of course a lot. Of course I am. Hey, that stain on the ceiling, it's grown amazingly. It's actually beginning to drip. Form bubbles. They'll start dropping soon. Colored bubbles, they seem to be. Odd-shaped stain, like a body lying on its back with its arms stretched out. It's cheerful. Oh. I'll certainly advise Mr. McDonald to have this place pulled down. I'll go upstairs in a minute or two to see how Dr. Reed's making out. You know, listeners, I really believe I go completely crazy if I had to stay here much longer. Wears you down. That's exactly what it does. It wears you down. It's so close and musty in here. I feel sort of trapped. Don't know why I said that. That's what they call this place, you know, the death trap. There, what did I tell you? That stain started to drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop. I'll catch the next one in my hand. Reed? Dr. Reed! I'm going upstairs now, listeners. I'm afraid something has happened to Dr. Reed. I'm not kidding now. This is on the level. Which room could it be now? Right? Right. This is it, I think. Oh, evening, gentlemen. And madam? I'm so glad to see you. I was just aching to see somebody.
anybody. I've been so lonely down there. What have you done with the doctor, huh? I know he's been hurt. See the color of the bubble on my hand? What have you done with him? Make way, please, gentlemen. Make way. Well, isn't the funniest darn thing? This can't be Dr. Reed lying here. He didn't have a red beard. Now, don't crowd me, gentlemen. Don't crowd me, please. Huh? You want me to go where with you? You want me to do what? Speak up, gentlemen. To the cliff. Down to the cliff? You mean right now? well, all right, if you'll come with me. I don't want to be alone anymore. You will come with me? All of you? All four of you? You too, ma'am? Oh, good. Come on, then. To the cliff. To the cliff. To the cliff. To the...
He jumped over the cliff. He jumped over the cliff. McDonald, he jumped over...
Mr. McDonald, Mr. Thorpe, you may come in to see Dr. Reed now.
What? Uh-huh.
Dr. Reed is conscious. You may see him now.
Is he able to talk?
Just for a few minutes. In here.
Come in. Come in, gentlemen. How are you, Dr. Reed?
We've been waiting to see you.
Yes, and I must apologize, gentlemen. I had a most unfortunate accident. Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage? Yes. My lungs, you know. Now, gentlemen.
Hemorrhage? Dr. Reed, what happened in that house? What happened to Smith? We've just been listening to a playback of the recordings you made out there.
Smith? Well, isn't he with you? We've just heard the recording, Dr. Reed. Smith jumped over the cliff. Into the ocean. Oh, that poor boy. Dr. Reed, will you please tell us what happened? From what we heard on the recording, there were ghosts in that house. Ghosts? I didn't see any ghosts.
But Smith, what about him?
If he went over the cliff, it was fear that drove him over. But, gentlemen, I didn't see any ghosts. As for that unfortunate young man, who can say now what he saw or thought he saw?
Thank you, Ralph Edwards, for displaying your versatility by appearing as guest star on Suspense.
Say, Harlow, that Edwards does everything.
Half.
No, does. Don't use that word on our Autolite show.
Oh, come now, Harlow. I can make you use that word, as you call it.
How?
Now, don't you say that Autolite resistor spark plugs make your car engine idle smoother?
Yes, but...
And your car gives better performance on leaner gas mixtures. Saves gas.
Sure does. I mean, do. Does.
Aren't we devils?
Ralph, you tricked me. Well, anyhow, it does my heart good to tell people that Autolite resistor spark plugs are ignition engineered by Autolite, which makes more than 400 products for cars, trucks, airplanes, and boats in 28 plants from coast to coast. Autolite also makes complete electrical systems for many makes of America's finest cars. Batteries, spark plugs, generators, starting motors, spark plug wire, battery cable, coils, distributors. All ignition engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly because they're a perfect team. The lifeline of your car. So, folks, don't accept electrical parts that are supposed to be as good. Remember, you're right with Autolite.
And now here again is Ralph Edwards.
I want to thank Tony Leader and his great cast of actors for helping to make my appearance on Suspense a very pleasant consequence. Like all of you, I'm a great Suspense fan, and I'm looking forward to next week when radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you Joseph Cotton in The Day I Died, another gripping study in Suspense. Tonight's Suspense play was adapted for radio by Walter Newman from an original story by H.R. Wakefield, with music composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. Make it a point to listen next Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Remember, next Thursday, same time, hear Joseph Cotton in The Day I Died.
buy Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite stay-full batteries, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, who were those souls that Smiley ran into in the house and led him toward the cliff? Maybe his ghost hunt was successful after all. I don't know what's so scary about ghosts. I mean, you don't seem to be frightened by me. Talk about frightening. Our Halloween Spooktacular wraps up with a Halloween classic from the Mercury Theater on the air, right after this.
You're tuned to the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV. We use advertising revenue to make this service available to you. If you have a business and would like to get your message out to our ever-increasing audience, give us a call at 715-563-1749. We'll be happy to discuss our budget-friendly advertising packages with you. Get your business noticed on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV by calling 715-563-1749.
Our next presentation comes from the Mercury Theater on the air. The Mercury Theater on the air was bookended by two bold and brilliant broadcasts, Dracula and The War of the Worlds, which we aired last year. The infamy of the final broadcast has entered into our folklore. The inaugural broadcast, Dracula, has become a cult favorite. Orson Welles' production of John Houseman's adaptation of Bram Stoker's classic and iconic novel is one of the best versions yet of the story. It is brisk, fast-paced, and exciting, retaining the flavor of the book as well as the mystique of Dracula himself. As in the book, where he still haunts every page even if he isn't present in every scene of the tale, Dracula has little on-air time in the radio page, but you can always sense his presence nearby, enshrouded in the shadows of the recording room, just out of range from the microphone. Wells takes on the part of Dracula, Martin Gable is Dr. Van Helsing, Dracula's archenemy, and Mina Harker, the true hero of Dracula, is played by Agnes Moorehead. So now from July 11th, 1938, here's Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air's production of Dracula.
The Columbia Network takes pride in presenting Orson Welles in the first production of a unique new summer series by the Mercury Theater on the air. In a single year, the first in the life of the Mercury Theater, Orson Welles has come to be the most famous name of our time in American drama. Says Collier's Magazine,
23-year-old Orson Welles threw a bombshell into Broadway.
Robert Benchley writes in The New Yorker,
The production of the Mercury is, I should say, just about perfect.
Time Magazine declares,
the brightest moon that has risen over Broadway in years. Welles should feel at home in the sky, for the sky is the only limit which his ambitions recognize.
And finally, the United Press remarked,
meteoric rise of Orson Welles' Mercury Theater continues unabated.
With 4 hit shows in its first year, the Mercury might well close its door on a season unparalleled in Broadway history. But Mr. Welles has long been working on a project for a greater audience, the Broadways of the entire United States. The Columbia Network is proud to give Orson Welles the opportunity to bring to the air those same qualities of vitality and imagination that have made him the most talked-of theatrical director in America today. And it is this project which Columbia brings you this summer, the first time in its history that radio has ever extended such an invitation to an entire theatrical institution. But here is Orson Welles himself to tell you about it. The director of the Mercury Theater, the star and producer of these programs, Orson Welles.
Good evening. We're starting off tonight with the best story of its kind ever written. You will find it in every representative library of classic English narratives. It is Bram Stoker's Dracula. The next time I speak to you, I am Dr. Arthur Seward. George Gourouris plays Jonathan Harker, and Martin Gable plays Dr. Van Helsing. It is Dr. Seward who tells the story, and so for the moment, goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in Transylvania.
The Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel, Dracula.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arthur Seward. I'm here tonight to bear witness to the truth of certain events which you may find it hard to believe, but I ask you to believe them. I have here certain documents, telegrams, clippings from the press of the day, memoranda, and letters in various hands. All needless matters have been eliminated, so that a history almost at variance with the possibilities of contemporary belief may stand forth as simple fact. I present you first with excerpts from the private journal of Jonathan Harker.
I, Jonathan Harker, lawyer's clerk, article to Peter Hawkins, Esquire of Exeter, England, am writing this journal in the hope that if misfortune overtakes me, it may one day come to the eyes of those who love me. I set out from London on the last day of April to visit one of our clients in Eastern Europe. On May the 3rd, I arrived in Budapest and came after nightfall to Klausenburg on the borders of Transylvania. At Bistritz, there was a letter of welcome for me from our client, informing me that his carriage would await me at the Borgo Pass. It was signed Dracula. There seemed to be some excitement among the passengers. They kept speaking to the driver and looking at me and urging him on to greater speed. The crazy coach rocked on its great leather strings. The mountains seemed to come nearer to us on either side. Coachman! Coachman! What is it? Where are we?
You're nearing your destination, young hare. This is the Borgo Pass.
Clouds overhead, and in the air the heavy, oppressive sense of thunder. Now we were through the pass.
The young hare is not expected after all.
You are early tonight, my friend.
A caleche with 4 horses are drawn up beside us.
Let me help you, sir.
The coachman smiled, and the lamplight fell on a hard-looking mouth with very red lips and sharp-looking teeth as white as ivory. We began to move. I looked back. The coach and its load of passengers had vanished from sight. We swept into the darkness of the pass. I struck a match. It was within a few minutes of midnight. And then a dog began to howl somewhere far down the road. The wind was rising. It moaned and whistled through the rocks, and the branches of the trees clashed together as we swept along. It grew colder and colder still, and fine powdery snow began to fall. The baying of wolves sounded nearer and nearer, as though they were closing round us from every side. We kept on ascending, always ascending. The howling of wolves was growing less. Presently, it ceased altogether. And just then, the moon broke through the black clouds. I saw around us a ring of wolves running alongside the carriage. In silence, with white teeth and lolling red tongues, with long sinewy limbs and shaggy hair.
Welcome to my house.
I must have fallen asleep. The carriage had pulled up in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle. The coachman was nowhere to be seen.
Welcome to my house. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Count Dracula?
I am Dracula.
Face was strong, very strong, aquiline. The mouth, so far as I could see under the heavy mustache, was fixed and rather cruel looking, with peculiarly sharp white teeth.
You hear them, Mr. Harker.
The wolves?
The children of the night, as you say, Mr. Harker. The wolves. Listen. Come now. There are many things you must tell me tomorrow. Of England and of the estate there you have purchased for me.
Yes.
The estate is called Carfax, I believe.
Yes, that is so.
But now I will detain you no longer. You will find your room in readiness. And I advise you not to leave it during the night.
This castle is on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. I explored. There are doors everywhere, and all of them locked. The door to the great hall, the door to the courtyard, every door in the castle is closed, bolted against me. The castle of Dracula is a prison, and I am a prisoner. The next night, I couldn't sleep. So after a few hours, I got up and, lighting my candle, I placed my shaving mirror on the dressing table and was just beginning to shave.
You seem restless, Mr. Harker.
I hadn't seen him, although the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. I turned to the glass again. I could see him over my shoulder, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. It was blank. I started and cut myself on the side of the throat. The blood was trickling down my neck. Hans, my mirror!
The blood! The blood! Wipe the blood from your face, Mr. Harker. And take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country.
When I awoke, I found most of my things were gone. My passport, my notes, my letter of credit. I could find no trace of them anywhere. And my door is locked from the outside. June 20th. There is work of some kind going on in the castle. Now and then I hear the faraway muffled sound of mattock and spade. And last night, the second of the predated letters which Dracula made me write, the second of that series which is to blot out the very traces of my existence from the earth, went forth. Count Dracula.
Yes, my young friend.
Well, what of me? When am I free? When can I leave this place?
Free? Mr. Harker, you're always free. You want to leave? Would you like to leave tonight?
Yes, in God's name.
My dear young friend, not an hour shall you wait in my house against your will. Come, follow me. The door seems to be bolted. How strange. The door is locked.
Well, in God's name, open it.
As you will, Mr. Harker. You English have a proverb which is very close to my heart. Welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. Good night, Mr. Harker.
Shut the door! Shut the door! I tell you, shut the door! Shut it!
The door is shut, Mr. Harker. I take it you will remain.
Morning, June the 30th. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. Oh, God preserve my sanity. I have never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he is gone. I do not understand these things. I only know that the wolves obey him, and that he is a man with hair on the palm of his hands, with sharp teeth, and no blood in his face. He casts no shadow. He cannot be seen in a glass. And he moves like a bat across the sheer face of the castle walls. He eats no food and is mortally afraid of the crucifix. As I write this, I hear in the courtyard the rolling of heavy wheels and the cracking of whips. And there is in the passageway below the sound of heavy boxes being set down. Boxes shaped like coffins. And I know what they hold. The boxes are filled with holy earth from the chapel beneath the castle. It is the last box being nailed down. And now I hear the heavy feet tramping again. The door shut. The chains rattle. In the courtyard and down the rocky way, the roll of heavy wheels, the crack of whips. Help! 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 The wagons have gone. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Seward. Mr. Harker's journal terminates at this point. I now present in evidence a clipping dated August 8th of that year from the Yorkshire Telegraph from our correspondent in Whitby. One of the greatest and suddenest storms on record was experienced here today. The weather has been somewhat sultry, but Saturday evening was fine. The band was playing. The piers were crowded with holidaymakers. The wind fell away entirely during the evening, and there was a dead calm. There were but few lights at sea. The only sail noticeable was a foreign schooner under full canvas, which was seemingly going westward. A little after midnight came a strange sound from over the sea, and high overhead the air began to carry a strange, faint, hollow booming. Then, without warning, the tempest broke. And there, with all sails set, was the foreign schooner rushing with terrific speed toward the shore. A searchlight was turned on her. And there, lashed to the helm, was a corpse with drooping head which swayed horribly to and fro at each motion of the ship. A moment later, she crashed. And then a strange thing was seen. At the very instant she touched, a huge dog sprang up on deck from below and, running forward, jumped from the bow onto the sand and, making straight up the east cliff toward the graveyard, vanished into the night. The Coast Guard, going aboard at dawn, found the dead man fastened to a spoke of the wheel. Tightly clutched in one hand was a crucifix. The man must have been dead for quite 2 days. In the pocket of the dead man's coat was found a bottle, carefully corked, containing a roll of paper. This proved to be an addendum to the ship's log. There was found on board only a small amount of cargo, and that of a most unusual nature. Apparently the ship carried nothing but earth, common earth, packed away in wooden boxes, shaped much like coffins.
Log of the Demeter, July 6th. Finished taking in cargo, a queer cargo, boxes of earth. At noon, set sail, east wind, fresh. Crew, 4 hands, 2 mates, cook, and myself, captain, July 11th. Entered Bosporus. At dark, passed through Dardanelles. Mate reported in morning that one of crew, Valjoden, was missing.
Took larboard watch 8 bells last night. He was relieved by Chiligian, who came to his bunk.
Something aboard this ship.
No. Don't laugh, Captain. In the rain last night.
Oh?
A tall, thin man go up companionway and along the deck forward and disappeared. When I go to the bow, no one. And the hatchways all closed.
July 22nd. Rough weather last 3 days. All hands busy with sails. No time be frightened. Past Gibraltar and out through straits. All well. July 24th. Last night, another hand was lost. Disappeared.
By Chiligian. Leave all watch, midnight. Then we never see him again. What, double watch now? I don't take watch alone no more. Double watch.
July 29th. Had single watch tonight as crew too tired to double. When morning come...
Hey, below! Banoiti! Is Banoiti below?
Banoiti's gone! Banoiti's gone like the others. Like all the others.
The mate and I have agreed to go armed henceforth, July 30th. Last night,
We are nearing England. Weather fine. All sails set.
Captain! Captain! The man in the watching the stairs was missing! Both missing!
Now, only self and mate and one hand left to work ship. August 3rd. 2 days of fog and not a sail sighted. At midnight, I went to relieve the man at wheel, and when I got to it, found no one there.
It's here. I know it now. I saw it. Like a man, tall and thin and ghastly pale. It was in the bows looking out. I gave it the knife, and my knife went through it.
What?
Empty as air.
What is it? What are you talking about?
It's here, and I'll find it. It's in the hold. In one of those boxes of earth. I'll unscrew them one by one and see. And see.
He is mad. Stark raving mad. It's no use my trying to stop him. He can't hurt those big boxes. They are invoiced as common earth.
I know the secret now. The sea will save me from him. That's all that's left. That's all that's left.
August 4th. I am all alone on my ship. And still the fog. I dared not go below. I dared not leave the helm. So here all night I stayed. And in the dimness of the night, I saw it. I saw him. God forgive me, but the mate was right to jump overboard. It was better to die like a sailor in the blue water. But I am captain, and I must not leave my ship. I shall tie my hands to the wheel when my strength begins to fail. And along with them I shall tie that which it dare not touch, my crucifix. I am growing weaker, and the night is coming on. God and the Blessed Virgin help a poor ignorant soul trying to do his duty.
Telegram, Seward, Perfect, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. Lucy Westenra in alarming condition. Cannot diagnose. Come at once. Seward.
Telegram, Van Helsing, Amsterdam, to Seward, Perfect. I'm on my way to you. Please arrange the examination immediately my arrival, Van Helsing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must now explain that 6 months before the events recorded here, I had become engaged to a young lady, Lucy Westenra. We were to have been married in the spring. My old teacher, Professor Van Helsing, arrived at 4 the next afternoon. I took him at once to Lucy's house. She lay in a bed asleep. She was ghastly, chalkily pale. The red seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out.
Young Miss is bad. Very bad. She must have blood or she will die. Yet she is not anemic. The qualitative analysis of her blood gives quite normal condition. It is strange. I do not like to think how strange. Look! My God, her throat, look!
The black velvet band that she always wore had dragged up a little and showed a red mark on her throat. Just over the external jugular vein were 2 punctures, not large, but not wholesome looking. The edges were white and worn looking. Well? Well, what is it, Professor? What's wrong with her? Speak frankly. You can tell me the worst.
I wish I could, Stuart. I wish I could. But I do not dare.
But won't you tell me anything?
I will tell you this. Your young lady is in a danger greater than death. You must believe me. If you leave her for one moment and harm befalls, you will not sleep easy thereafter.
September 8th. I sat up all night with Lucy.
Arthur, I'm afraid.
Night, dear. You can sleep tonight. I'm here watching you. Nothing can happen. And I promise if any sign of bad dreams, if I see anything, I'll wake you at once.
You will? Will you really? Then I'll sleep.
I sat all night by her bedside. She did not wake once during the night, although her brows or a bat or something flapped almost angrily against the window panes. September 11th. Still quoting from my private journals. At this time that I received a message from Purfleet. Read 10:20 p.m. St. John's Hospital, serious complications, case 891, your immediate presence, London, imperative. I had no choice. Sometime later, a paper was found among Lucy Westenra's belongings.
I write this and leave it to be seen so that no one may by any chance get into trouble through me. I went to bed as usual, taking care that the window was closed, as Dr. Van Helsing had directed. About 2 a.m, I awakened. I went to the door, called out, "Arthur! Arthur!" There was no answer. Something's broken the window. I'm in the room, alone. I dare not go out. The house seems empty. The air is full of specks, floating, circling in the draught from the window. The light burns blue, dim. What am I to do? Something very sweet and very bitter all around me. Nothing sinking into deep water.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
September 12th. Late. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. We found her sprawled on the floor. There was a draft in the room from the broken window. Her throat was bare, showing the 2 wounds, looking horribly white and mangled.
We are too late, my friend. We have failed. God's will be done.
She's dying.
Yes. She's dying. Stay beside her. It will make much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep.
It was late in the afternoon before she opened her eyes.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come.
I took her hand and knelt beside her. Her breath came and went like a tired, peaceful child's. And then the light from the setting sun fell on her face, and then, insensibly, a strange change came over her. Her eyes grew suddenly dull and hard. Her breathing was heavy. The mouth opened, and the pale gums drawn back made the teeth look large and sharp.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come. Kiss me. Bend down and kiss me.
Not for your life. Not for your living soul and hers. Lucy! She's dead.
Poor girl. There's peace for her at last. The end.
Not so. It is only the beginning. Wait and see.
Westminster Gazette, September 25th. A Hempstead mystery. The Kensington horror, the stabbing woman, and the woman in black are vividly recalled to mind by a series of events that have taken place recently in the neighborhood of Hempstead. Several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or failing to return from their playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children, have given as their excuse that they have been with a beautiful lady who offered them chocolates. In each case, the child was found to be slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wound seemed such as might be made by a rat or a small dog.
The Hempstead her, another child injured by the beautiful lady. We have just received intelligence that another child missed last night was only discovered late in the morning. It has the same tiny wound in the throat. Well, Stuart, what do you think of that? You mean to tell me, my friend, that you still have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of?
Nervous prostration, following great loss and waste of blood.
And how was the blood lost or wasted? You are a clever man, my friend, and a good doctor. But you do not believe that there are things that you cannot understand. You are wrong, Stuart. Are you aware of all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why in the pampas there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry those veins? How in some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and then when the sailors sleep on deck because it is hot, flit down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men as white as Miss Lucy was?
I understand none of these things.
Up to tonight, Stuart. If you dare to come with me, perhaps then you will understand.
September 29th. Before dawn. Now it is done. And I would sooner die 1,000 deaths than live again through what I did this night.
We will spend the night, you and I, here in this churchyard where Miss Lucy is buried. We enter the tomb, then we open the coffin. You shall yet be convinced.
Take care, Van Helsing.
Miss Lucy is dead, is it not so? Then there can be no wrong to her. But if she's not dead...
With some difficulty, we found the Westenra tomb. I took up my place behind a yew tree. On one side of the tomb, Van Helsing on the other. I was chilled and frightened. Suddenly, I saw something moving between two yew trees. A dim, white figure which held something at its breast. The figure stopped. I could not see the face, for it was bent down over what I saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a sharp little cry, such as a child gives in sleep, or a dog as it lies before the fire and dreams. Then the thing saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl. The lovely blood-stained mouth grew to an open square. If ever a face meant death, I saw it at that moment. Then suddenly she turned and vanished in the direction of the tomb.
The child is not harmed. We leave him in a safe place where the police find him. There's more to do. Come.
Now we were in the tomb. Then in the coffin, the thing lay like a nightmare of Lucy, the pointed teeth, the blood-stained mouth. Van Helsing never looked up. From his bag, he took out a book, his operating knives, a heavy hammer, and a round wooden stake, some 2 or 3 inches thick, sharpened to a fine point, and hardened over a fire.
Stuart! The life of this unhappy woman is just begun. When she become what you call undead, there comes with the change the curse of immortality. She cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims. Because all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on others. So the circle goes on, ever widening as the ripples from a stone thrown in the water. But if this lady, this undead, be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love shall be again free.
Tell me, what am I to do?
Take this stake in your left hand, the hammer in your right.
Yes.
Place the point over the heart.
Yes.
Then, when I begin the prayer for the dead, in God's name strike. Are you ready? Now, Domine Jesu Christe, Fili de vivi, qui in manus tuas ex voluntate Patri.
On the morning of July 11th, a man was found on the border of Transylvania. He talked wildly of wolves and boxes of earth and blood, and gave his name as Jonathan Harker. In the hospital at Klausenberg, he improved sufficiently to make possible his removal to England. I'm still quoting from my own personal papers. But there his condition remained so serious that he was committed for observation to a private ward in my hospital at Purfleet. Here he did so well that in 3 weeks he was completely recovered. It was during this time that his wife, Minna Harker, brought to the attention of Dr. Van Helsing and myself the journal that her husband had kept while a prisoner in the castle of a certain Count Dracula in Transylvania. I have before me the record of a meeting that took place in my study in Purfleet, transcribed by Minna Harker.
October 1st. Meeting began soon after 8. Jonathan next to me. Dr. Seward opposite to Van Helsing at the head of the table.
My friends, there are such things as vampires. Had I known at first what now I know, one so precious life had been spared to many of us who love her. The vampire which is amongst us is of himself so strong that he can direct all the elements. The storm, the fog, the thunder. He can command all the meaner things, the moth and bat, the owl and the fox and the wolf. How, then, are we to begin our strike to destroy him? How shall we find his place? And having found it, how can we destroy? My friends, it is a terrible task that we undertake. To fail here is not mere life or death. If we fail, we become as him. Foul things of the night, as him. What do you say?
I answer for myself.
Count me in. I'm with you.
The professor laid a small golden crucifix on the table. We took hands, and our solemn pact was made.
My friends, we too are not without strength. The vampire flourishes on the blood of the living. Without this, he cannot live. He throws no shadow. He makes no reflection in a mirror. He can transform himself to a wolf, to a bat. He can come on moonlight rays as elemental dust. He can see in the dark. He can do all these things. Yet he is not free. His power ceases at the coming of the day. Then, until night, he must remain in the shape in which he finds himself, and except in his coffin home, in those earth boxes, he cannot rest. When we can confine him in his coffin, then, my friends, if we obey what we know, we will destroy him.
At that moment, something flapped wildly against the window. Then...
Did you hit it?
I don't know.
We looked out of the window. Against the black sky, we could see nothing.
Data in our possession. From the Count's castle in Transylvania to Whitby came 50 boxes of earth. All of these, to our certain knowledge, were delivered at Carfax. Recently, 12 of these boxes have been removed. First step, ascertain whether all the rest remain in the deserted house next door or whether any more have been removed. We must trace each of these boxes and sterilize the earth with holy water so that he can no longer seek safety in it. And we must hurry.
The events of the next few days are described in Jonathan Harker's journal.
October 2nd, 5 a.m. Just returned from the empty house. Left Mina here at home. Well, we've done our work at Carfax. The place was filthy. The air stagnant and foul and alive with rats. We counted the boxes. Only 38 of them. And over each one, the professor went through his same mysterious work. It was dawn when we got back. I found Mina asleep. She looks paler than usual.
October 2nd. Soon after they left, I fell asleep. I remember hearing the sudden barking of the dogs. And then there was silence. I got up and looked out of the window. There was a thin streak of white mist moving across the grass along the wall of the house. It dawned on me that the air in the room was heavy and dank and cold. The gaslight came only like a tiny red spark through the fog. I could see through my eyelids. The mist grew thicker and thicker. Then, as I looked, the spark divided and seemed to shine on me through the fog like two red eyes.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
October 2nd, 8 p.m. We're on the track. 12 boxes were delivered last week to an empty house at 347 Piccadilly.
My dear friends, until the sun sets tonight, Dracula must retain whatever form he now has. We have this day to hunt out all his lairs and sterilize them. Then he will have no place where he can move and hide. But we have only until sunset.
The house in Piccadilly was empty. Like the one at Purfleet, the same sickening smell was in the air. On a table, we found a clothes brush, a brush, and a comb, and a basin. The latter containing dirty water, which was reddened as if with blood.
The boxes are back here. 8, 9, 10, 11. Only 11. There's a 12th box somewhere.
Gentlemen, it is after 6. The sun is setting. We've no time to lose. He will return at any moment. Open the boxes.
Quiet. Listen.
Be ready.
It is he! The window!
You waste your bullets, gentlemen. You think you baffle me? You with your pale faces all in a row like sheep in a butcher's. You think you've left me without a place to rest. But I have more. And time is on my side. The one you love is mine already. I have known her. Already my mark is on her throat. Flesh of my flesh. Blood of my blood. She is with me always. Over land or sea.
We must find that last remaining box, gentlemen. We must find it. As long as that earth exists impure, as long as there remains one place of refuge for Dracula, there is no safety and no peace for any soul in England.
And for the undead, never peace so long as he lives. Blood of my blood. Blood of my blood.
Mina, how do you know that? Quiet.
With me always. Over land and sea.
Mina, darling, how did you know that Dracula said those...
I don't know. The words just came. Strange. There are times when somehow I feel that I'm with him.
At sunset?
Yes. Just at sunset. And again at sunrise. Dr. Van Helsing, if I could... If at that time you...
Have you the courage?
Courage for what? What do you mean?
Dr. Van Helsing here will question me.
I will question her, yes. In a state of hypnosis. The one you love is already mine, he said. She is with me always, over land or sea. Ah, Count Dracula. Perhaps she will betray you if she is really with you, this one we love. Who knows? If she is really with you over land or sea.
Blood of my blood.
Mina.
Yes?
Answer me, Mina. Are you with him?
Yes, I am with him.
Where are you?
I do not know.
It is all dark.
What you hear?
The lapping of water. I can hear it on the outside.
Then you are on a ship.
Yes.
What else do you hear?
There is the creaking of an anchor chain.
What are you doing?
Still. Oh, so still. It is like death. It's like death.
Here's a report from Matson Peabody, shipbrokers. Dated October 5th, according to Lloyd's list, the only sailing ship that left for the Black Sea yesterday was the Tsarina Katrina, bound for Varna. Some hours before she sailed, a man came alongside, all in black, driving a cart with a great box in it. This he lifted down single-handed and carried below. No one remembers having seen him after that, as heavy mist came up over Doolittle Dock until sailing time. The rest of London Harbor remained completely clear.
Our plans are made. The average sailing time from London to the Black Sea is 3 weeks. We can travel overland to the same place in 3 days. We shall be there waiting for him when he arrives.
October 15th, arrived Varna about 5 o'clock. Mina seems stronger. Every morning before sunrise and just before sunset, she speaks to Van Helsing in a trance.
Are you with him, Mina? Tell me, are you with him?
I am with him.
What can you see?
Nothing. All is dark.
What can you hear?
I can hear the waves lapping against the ship and the water rushing by. The wind is high. I can hear it in the shrouds, and the bow throws back the foam.
So, the Tsarina Katrina is still at sea, hastening on her way to Varna. The Count cannot cross running water, so he cannot leave the ship without being observed.
What do you hear, Mina?
Lapping waves and rushing water. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
A whole week of waiting. Daily telegrams from Lloyd's.
Not yet reported. Not yet reported.
Rushing water and creaking masts. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
October 24th. Telegram. Lloyd's, London to Harker. Tsarina Katrina reported this morning from Dardanelles. Lloyd's, London to Harker, October 28th.
Tsarina Katrina in heavy fog reported entering Galatz Harbor at 1 o'clock today.
Galatz is 38 hours from here, and the first train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning. My friends, we have lost.
Evening. We're due between 2 and 3 in the morning, but already at Bucharest we are 3 hours late.
Something's going on. I can feel it passing like a cold wind. I can hear far off confused sounds. Men talking in strange tongues. Tears falling water and the howling of
Like what? Speak, Mina. Speak, I command you. I command you to speak.
Arrived in Galatz. Saw Captain Tsarina Katrina.
A man come aboard with an order an hour before sunup to receive a box for a party by the name of Dracula. Had his peppers, I read. Emmanuel Hiddlesheim, his name was.
Mr. Hiddlesheim?
Yes.
You went over to the box yesterday.
I get the Kylov by order. Kylov.
Mr. Kylov?
I know. This morning they find him dead inside the churchyard of St. Peter. They find him dead with his throat torn open.
October 30th evening. There are 2 ways in which Dracula can get back to his own place.
by land or by water.
We've examined the map and find the most likely river is the Serra.
You and I, Seward, will charter a steam launch and follow him up the river. Van Helsing and Mina will take the train to Veresti, and from there they will
From there we shall go in the track where Harker went, from District over to Borgo. If you have not caught him before, we shall be awaiting Dracula there.
October 31st. We arrived at Veresti at noon, Van Helsing and I. Bought a carriage here, and we start in an hour. Our enemy is still on the river.
October 31st. We can run a good speed up the river at night. There's plenty of water, and the banks are wide apart.
November 1st, evening. No news all day. We hear that a big boat went up the river before us, going at more than usual speed.
November 4th. All day driving. The country gets wilder as we go. By morning, we shall reach the Borgo Pass.
November the 4th, evening. We've left the launch. We've got horses, and we follow on the track along the river. We are armed.
Look! Quick! There they are now! Heading west!
With the dawn, we could see the Slovaks some miles before us, dashing along the river with their wagons. On it is the great box.
Late in the afternoon, we reached the Borgo Pass.
Van Helsing! Look! Look!
We could see a long way all around us. Far off, beyond the white waste of snow, was the river like a black ribbon curling. Between us and the river, not afar off, came a group of men, mounted Slovaks hurrying along. In the midst of them was a wagon which swept from side to side. On the wagon was a great box.
Look!
We see two horsemen following fast, coming up from the south. Now the horsemen are not more than a mile behind. Now the wagon is quite close to us. We can see the great box swaying crazily. Now they are almost upon us. Now has happened a strange thing. The wagon smashed into a great rock bed in the snow, lost its front wheels, and turned over on its side, jammed against the stone. The horses tore loose from their traces and bolted, and the Slovaks scatter and vanish after them. Then silence. Silence like comes after ringing a bell.
Look! His face!
It is Dracula, sprawled out stiff and twisted in the smear of his own holy earth. The box, in falling, has emptied the dirt onto the snow. His face is old-looking. The skin is like paper. Dr. Seward, there's no time. Look at the sun.
Sunset.
In 1 minute there is darkness, and he is forever lost to us. Have you the stake of wood and the hammer?
Yes.
Now, Seward, pray for us. Kneel down and pray. Harker, the stake of wood over his heart. Be not afraid, Harker. Do not look into his eyes. The hammer. Now, Harker, strike. Strike!
Flesh of my flesh. Guilt of my guilt. Death of my death. Speak and be manifest in the instant of your master's peril. Elements of darkness, rain, evil winds, mist, and mold, and tempest.
The others couldn't. But somehow I can hear him speaking behind his eyes.
Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh, death of my death, dead and undead. The hand of the living is over your master. Console him, my children. This instant is no longer than the space between two heartbeats. But the night is not here, and I am lonely. Come to your master, my children. Beguile him now in the instant of his peril. Beguile him with the sound of your names. Claw, wing, tooth, tissue of flesh.
Strike, Harker, strike!
There is one very dear to me who has not answered. My love. Mina. There is less than a minute between me and the night. You must speak for me. You must speak with my heart.
Give them to me! Jonathan, give them to me! The stake of wood and the hammer!
I shall never forget that moment. The look on poor Mina's face as she stood there, the angry scar standing out on her throat, her eyes like living coals in the last red of the sunset. She had torn the stake and the hammer out of my hands with the strength of an animal.
Mina, do you know what you've done, woman? You know what you've done to us? You've released him. The evil is free. Look!
The sun! As we looked down at Dracula, the eyes saw the sinking sun, and the hate in them turned to triumph.
Flesh of my flesh. Come to me, my love. Come into the night and the darkness. You have served me well, my love. My bride.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the evidence in this case is now before you. I've added nothing. And to the best of my knowledge, I've omitted nothing that might help to throw light on the extraordinary events of the year 1891, which culminated on that terrible evening in the Borgo Pass. There remains only this one last report.
When Mina Harker seized the stake and hammer from her husband, I believe she was under some form of hypnosis. She herself remembers nothing. But whatever influence was at work on her, she must, at the last moment, have rejected it. For at the exact instant the sun disappeared, it was Mina Harker who drove the stake through the heart of the thing that called itself Dracula. At that same instant, even as we looked, the wound on the side of her throat was no more. As for Dracula, before the scream of the creature had died from our ears, the whole body crumbled into dust and passed from our sight. In that final moment of dissolution, there was in the face a look of peace, such as I never could have imagined might have rested there.
Tonight's production of Dracula by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater was the first of 9 CBS broadcasts in which this brilliant group will bring to life a series of great narratives. In the cast tonight, Dr. Van Helsing was played by Martin Gable, Jonathan Harker by George Coulouris, Dr. Seward by Orson Welles, the Russian Captain by Ray Collins, the Mate by Carl Swenson, Mina Harker by Agnes Moorehead, Lucy Westenra by Elizabeth Farrer, and Count Dracula by Orson Welles. Bernard Herrmann composed the original music and conducted. Dan Seymour speaking.
That was the Mercury Theater on the Air's production of Dracula from July 11th, 1938. Nobody does Halloween-themed shows better than Orson Welles, even if the show wasn't originally aired near Halloween. Well, that's going to put a wrap on our second annual Halloween Spooktacular. I sure hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, bringing you these classic Halloween-themed radio programs from the golden days of radio. So, until next year when I make my annual return, have a very happy remainder of your Halloween, and don't eat all those treats at one time.
The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN-TV's second annual Halloween Spooktacular has been produced by Rick Olson. All old-time radio programs were collected through Internet Archive at archive.org. They include Halloween Blues from Father Knows Best, aired on October 29, 1953. Gildersleeve's Halloween Party from Fibber McGee and Molly, aired on October 24, 1939. Ghost Hunt from Suspense, aired on June 23, 1949. And Dracula from the Mercury Theater on the Air, aired July 11, 1938. Information about the old-time radio programs was compiled from the Fibber McGee and Molly Show, episode entitled Gildersleeve's Halloween Party, from Podomatic at www.podomatic.com. Suspense, episode entitled Ghost Hunt, from Escape and Suspense at www.escape-suspense.com. Mercury Theater on the Air, episode entitled Dracula, from Internet Archive at archive.org. Music credits, Horror Epic, composed and produced by Jason Shaw, released under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License through Audionautics.com. Scary, spooky, creepy, horror, ambient, dark, piano, cinematic by Sound Gallery by Mitery Dares from Pixabit. The proceeding has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network LLC. All applicable rights reserved.